In Tennessee, if you want to get divorced, you either get divorced under fault or no fault. No fault is an irreconcilable differences divorce. And to get an irreconcilable differences divorce, you have to have a marital dissolution agreement, and if you have children, a permanent parenting plan. The court has to find, in a little short hearing, that the marital dissolution agreement makes an equitable division of the parties' property, and the parenting plan, if there are children, makes adequate and sufficient provisions for the care, custody, and support of the parties' minor children. Now, that's a no-fault divorce. You can get that if you can agree on everything. Well, if you can agree on everything, you probably don't need to get divorced anyway, although that's how most divorces happen in Tennessee. So, if you're not able to get a no-fault divorce, you have to get a fault divorce. And fault divorces are a situation where you have to convince the court that your marriage is so bad that the state's normal interest in having parties remain together in a marriage is not served by this case, that the state is better served by this marriage being over with. Now, we've defined these long ago. Divorces are creatures of statute, which if you think that things are bad with the legislature coming up with a formula about how your marriage needs to go, remember that before the legislature did it, the church did it. Okay, so now the legislature is in charge of it, and they've worked on these grounds now, and they've been working on those for a couple of 100 years. And the grounds in Tennessee, if you want to be divorced, and you can't work everything out and get a no-fault divorce, you have to come in and show the court that there's been adultery, habitual abuse of alcohol or narcotics, living separate and apart for 2 years, willful or malicious desertion, conviction of a felony, pregnancy of the wife by another, willful refusal to move to Tennessee, malicious attempt on the life of the other, lack of reconciliation for 2 years after the entry of a decree of separate maintenance, bigamy, impotence, and sterility, general indignities, abandonment or refusal or neglect to provide for the other, and the biggest one, inappropriate marital conduct. Inappropriate marital conduct used to be called cruel and inhuman treatment, and you can still call it that. You don't want to, because if you do, it makes things meaner. And what you want to do generally is take as much meanness out of the process as you can. So, if you can't agree on everything, you have to have one of the grounds. Now, whether you have grounds or not can affect your negotiation towards getting an irreconcilable differences divorce. Okay? Now, the court is not supposed to consider grounds in the division of property, but the court can consider, where it's appropriate, grounds in terms of awarding alimony. And we'll be talking about alimony later, and there's several factors, and grounds is only one of it. Now, while grounds are not that critical to the judge, one of the critical things to the judge is telling the truth. So, if you've done something, be honest. Be honest with the court. That way you don't run a potential perjury conviction. Be honest with your lawyer, so your lawyer knows what to expect and knows how to deal with it. Basically, the bottom line is be honest about what you've done, be honest about what your spouse done, and let your lawyer help you through these grounds issues. So, if you're honest about it, if you're honest to the court, generally the judges have heard all these grounds before. The judges, most of them have been lawyers for many years before they became judges, and most of them have been on the bench for many, many years. It will be hard for you to shock the judge. But what generally tends to upset the judge is when people get caught lying about grounds. And grounds are one of the things that people most often lie about. So again, tell the truth. I'm not telling you that adultery is not wrong and that inappropriate marital behavior might not come back to haunt you. But what I'm telling you is if you lie about it and the other side proves it, it's a double word score of bad for your divorce case. So that's basically grounds in Tennessee. Either they're no fault, because you've got everything worked out, and you go through a 90-day waiting period or a 60-day waiting period, depending on whether you have children or not. If you don't have children, it's 60 days If you do have children, it's 90 days. Legislature is thinking about changing that from time to time. But that's basically the waiting period you have there, and that's no fault. Otherwise, somebody has to prove fault. And oftentimes, you can stipulate, and when you stipulate, generally you can stipulate that both parties are at fault, and the court can award the divorce to both parties. We often see that happening. Thank you.